Sports. Ladies and gentlemen, Coach Matt Rhule.
Yeah, Coach!
How you doing, Coach?
What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Life is good. Thank you so much for joining us. How is life over there in Nebraska? Obviously, we've been winning by a lot. We've been setting precedent. Now we got a huge one where you're underdogs at home. What is the mindset this weekend?
I think we're excited. This is an excellent football team coming in. It's the Big Ten opener. And as you said, it's a ranked opponent. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere here. And we think we have a pretty good team. So we're expecting a heck of a game. A lot of fun.
The Bussin' Bowl is obviously what this has been dubbed because Taylor Lewan, I think a 5-star recruit out of high school, first-round draft pick, incredibly handsome, very tall, represents Michigan. Mm-hmm. And Will Compton, the walk-on, undrafted, busted grill, 9-year linebacker special team dog, represents the Nebraska Cornhuskers from the Bussin' with the Boys podcast. Obviously, they've tried to make this a thing for a few years now. This year feels like getting very real in the momentum. And I feel like you guys have your best team for this, and I think Michigan, as being favored, they feel in a good spot as well. Is this the perfect time for the Bussin' Bowl to actually launch into real in-season hype and expectation?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we played the game 2 years ago, and it was, everyone was here. Will was here. Taylor was here. And, we didn't, they were a much better team, and it wasn't a very close game. And so, it'll be a great game. It's two really good teams, and it's what the Big Ten should be all about. Good rivalries. We're not too far away from each other. I'm sure they'll bring a lot of fans. Our fans will be ready, and it'll be a great college football game to go along with all the other games.
All right, let's talk about the on-field stuff. Cincinnati was able to run a little bit first night, obviously. Quarterback able to move as well. Is that the big conversation point for your team? Is we're going to have to stop Michigan's run, even though Biff is the acting head coach and he let Bryce spin it a little bit more than maybe Sharon. But we got to stop the run? Is the only mindset on the defensive side?
Yeah, they're 15th in the country in rushing offense, and to your point, last week, quarterback was the leading rusher. So the things that bothered us against Cincinnati, they ran for 200 yards, and over 100 of that was the quarterback. Just Sorsby from Cincinnati dropped back and found a hole and ran, and we didn't have a great answer for it. Obviously, that hasn't hurt us the past 2 weeks, but we're facing a whole different animal now. And so, big physical O-line. That's what Michigan football is, right? They're gonna run the ball and stop the run. It's true Big Ten football, and now they have a quarterback who can also run. So our guys are gonna have to defend the run and defend the quarterback run, to play well.
Have you seen Bryce at Big Ten days? Have you seen this 17-year-old as of a month ago, now 18-year? Have you had eyes on this guy in real life?
No, I haven't. It's weird now with the Big Ten because there's 18 teams. They do 3 days, and they do I think 6 teams each. Of the 5 other teams than us, the only team that we played while we were there was Maryland. It was Rutgers. It was Ohio State. It was a bunch of teams that we don't even face this year. So it's really like the NFL, man. You don't know who you're going to face. Even the Bussin' Bowl, we faced him 2 years ago, not last year. We faced him this year. It's a rotating schedule, but he's really talented, elite recruit. And he's done a great job for them. We think we have a really good quarterback too, and so excited to go compete.
Yeah, tell me about Dylan. Obviously, this is the biggest game of the year. Much more comfortable where he's at. Emmett, obviously, a dog in the backfield. Tell us about your offense a little bit, taking on this Michigan defense with, a defense that hunts over there in Michigan. Always going to bring a lot of different disguises and everything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's Wink Martindale. He's one of my favorite coordinators in the National Football League. He's brought it to college. I mean, they're elite up front. They can blitz. They can show a bunch of different stuff to you. But we have a really smart quarterback in Dylan. He can try to get us in the right play. He can try to get us in the right protection when he's fooled. He's done a great job. He's completing 70-some% of his passes, yet he hasn't thrown an interception, and really only one that even had a chance to be intercepted. So he's a really, really smart football guy. You would love him. He's a football guy. He's in here all week studying. Like last week, we finished the game last week. I went to Vegas to watch Bud Crawford, and he's texting me pictures of him in his house. He's already watching Michigan. He's trying to outwork me, and so I respect our quarterback Dylan quite a bit. So it'll be a great chess match, him versus that Michigan defense with what they do.
Hey, Coach, hope you're enjoying Allegiant Stadium in big Las Vegas. This is what I got going on. How about Bud? Obviously a Nebraska guy. Anybody can be a nobody. We had him on the show earlier this week, and he was talking about how everybody doubted all the people that he fought in his record, and he basically said anybody can turn into a nobody whenever he looks at it. And I seen you kind of adopted that as well with the messaging that you're sending the players. I think your strength coach was talking about it in your office.
Yeah, no doubt. Since I've gotten here, I've always known who obviously Terence Bud Crawford is, but getting to know him, he's elite. He talked to the team last year, let us out against Colorado, and literally there was no chance we were going to lose once he spoke to the team and he started walking up that tunnel. I was like, man, this is different here. Pound for pound king. And then, I went to his send off, and he had so much respect for Canelo. He was talking about how they're both first ballot Hall of Famers. Yet when they went to the weigh-in, I showed our team. He wasn't talking about if I beat him, if this, if that. He risked his whole legacy. He was talking about when. He's never even been knocked down. And so we went to that fight, man. I was so fired up, so happy. You talk about a big day for the Cornhuskers, man. He's got the Nebraska N on his mouthpiece as he's fighting. We go backstage afterwards and see him, and all his guys are all wearing Husker red. He's loyal. And so it's a great message for our guys, man. No stage is too big for you when you put the work in and you believe in yourself.
Oh, I love that. Coaches being able to utilize anything for their own motivation, for their own team hype is glorious, let alone when you got the guy literally in your backyard. I was talking to people that were in the boxing world a little bit, and they're like, hey, Canelo moved. He's, he's living his life. He's had a couple $100 million for a long time. Maybe things a little bit different. Bud still lives in Omaha. He's got 7 kids. Like, he is, still, I don't want to say in the grind, but still very much doesn't even realize basically the money or hasn't done any of that. And I picked Canelo to win because I thought he was heavier on the show. I did that. And I got a call that night from 3 people that were like, yo. Bud still. Did you see Bud? Did you see what he looked like at the weigh-in? Have you heard the way he's talking? It's like, and he's American. We need him right now. It's like, I messed up. And then you watch that fight, and it's like, in the 9th round, Bud wasn't scared of shit. Bud was like, let's go. No. Let's go. He's heavier. He should be a harder puncher than he's ever faced. Yeah, let's go dance here. I could lose the entire fight just with one catch, and instead he stepped right into the fire. It's like massive respect for both of them, but also definitely for Bud. And we saw that end.
Oh, yeah.
We saw that end a lot. In the biggest fight of the century, they're calling it. And
that's right
on the mouth. It's a cool thing for the brand. Good for you. Tone has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach, you have one of the best play callers in the country, if not the best player caller in the country, a veteran in Dana Holgerson. But it was a very rare move. You brought him in, I think it was week 11 last year. How big was that for him and Dylan to get some actual live game experience last season before spring ball, before summer, and then the offense looks like it's flourished this year?
Yeah, no one had ever really done it. We lost to UCLA a week after playing pretty well against Ohio State, and I called him and said, "Hey, I need you here. I need you to get this fixed. The guys are working hard, but we need something moving forward." And so I think it was pivotal because Dana had to decide if he wanted to be here this year, and he finished that year out and he said, "Yeah, I'm all in for this. Like, can him and I work together?" And it's been an unbelievable relationship. And then he and Dylan. Every team in the country came in and recruited Dylan. Hey, come play for us. Come play for us. And he believed in what we're doing. He's a Husker, but he also believed in Dana. And so I think that time, and then we kept the staff. Like I said to Dana, do you want to change anybody out? How do you feel? And he's like, no, I like these guys. They're good coaches. We'll make this work. And so it's to me, it's been a unusual move, but one I'm glad we made because everyone came back this year and we're significantly better.
I bet Dana loves just being able to focus on the offense side of the ball than all the bullshit that comes with being a head coach too at this stage of his career.
Yeah, a couple times I said to him, like, what do you think? And he'll give me both perspectives. Like, well, you could do this, but that's your job now. And he walked away.
Where's
He's
my
so happy.
Where's my Red Bull at? That's right. Let me go ahead and do that. I got to worry about one side of the ball for you. That sounds like a you problem right there, buddy. I've been there before. He was great offensively for West Virginia and obviously down to Houston, and him just being able to lock in on that without having to deal with all the politics and all the handshaking and everything like that feels like it's great for him. Sounds like it's great for you as well. Connor has a question for you, Coach.
Coach, with the last 2 weeks being not cupcakes, but teams that aren't ranked like Michigan, it feels like, the videos we saw of you were very rah-rah, getting the team going, making sure they stay locked in. Is it different this week when you're playing in Michigan where everyone is kind of, zeroed in, laser focused at all times because it is such a tall task? And, you did just mention right there Bud Crawford leading Nebraska out, and you went to Bud's match last week. Can we expect Bud maybe to lead the Nebraska Cornhuskers out on Saturday?
I don't know that. I tried to call him the other day, and he's like, "Hey, I got the McAfee Show right now, bro. I don't." People have reached out to me. I'm talking about superstars that don't know me, but they're called someone out. Like, I mean, what he's done is, like, to your point, it's a fight of the century.
Chappelle, front row. Yeah. Going crazy. It's like that's one of the biggest. Yeah, I understand. He's big.
No doubt. I mean, so I don't know how that'll play out. I mean, he's got a lot of things going on, but we know he's the day that he decides to come in, we'll be here ready for him. And, I think the thing that the videos that we released, I mean, those were both at halftime. And so to me, like, leading up to the game, you always have a different approach every week, depending on who it is. Like, if I have to sit here and yell and scream about, hey, we better be ready. This is I think everyone here knows what the University of Michigan means, and they know how good of a team this is. We better be pretty locked in. For me, that was about at halftime being like, hey, this isn't good enough. And, year one, I couldn't have done that, with all the team. Year two, we kind of could, but some guys would be like, why is he saying this? Year three, you see our players. I mean, it's one thing when they show me, but our players are saying, hey, this isn't good enough. And so we understood playing the teams we faced. We're trying to get ready for the Big Ten because the Big Ten is a different animal, and it starts this week. We've been working to get ready.
On that note, Ty has a question for you.
Yeah, Coach, I believe the Big Ten is currently like 42-5 or something like that in that neck of the woods. And a lot of people, there's
top 15 teams, I think.
Yeah. There you go. Yep. There's still a lot of the talk about the SEC being the superior conference, and then people were even cherry picking early in the year, saying, "Hey, look at all the cupcakes the Big Ten teams are playing." But every week when you have a game like this, does it almost, because we know who's at the top of the Big Ten currently, and we have a couple teams, you guys are one of those teams who are kind of right there. Does it feel like a lot of these games are almost like playoff eliminators? So because every week in the Big Ten you're going to have a team that, hey, if we don't play well, we're going to get beat, and we might only have one or two opportunities for the rest of the year to actually solidify our chances of being in the playoff.
Yeah, I think the SEC is an elite conference. I think the Big Ten's an elite conference. I think two things can be true, right? I think the one thing that the SEC has done a great job of is they've branded themselves as the SEC. Mm-hmm. And when you look at the last 25 years, I think 4 teams have won national championships. You guys can, I could be wrong. Yet when we talk about the SEC, we talk about all the other teams as well. It's not just the Alabamas, the Georgias, the LSUs, the Floridas. It's the whole league. And so people, the tier of guys that are like 9-3, 10-2, they still get a lot of street cred when we do the voting and all that. You look at Illinois last year, took Penn State down to the wire. They finished 9-3, and they're barely in the conversation. And the Big Ten, we talk a lot about the top 4 teams, but this is I said on a podcast to House Rules, not the free shout out, just joking. But I said, like, Division I football is the only football league where weather doesn't have an impact in the offseason, in the postseason. Like in the NFL, being in Buffalo, being in New England, being in Kansas City when it's cold, like you have to play through people's homes. In the FCS, Montana, North Dakota State, those places matter. The Big Ten, man, you gotta go on the road. You got to play in the weather. You got to play in different. We're trying to plan out going to Maryland and coming back and we're going all over the country. And so I think as a league, we have to do a great job of talking about the Big Ten, not just Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Oregon. Those are great teams, but Illinois, Indiana, USC. Washington played for the national championship 2 years ago. Hopefully us. I mean, there's a lot of them. So to your point, you don't have a lot of free chances if you're not in that upper conversation, but there's really good teams in the Big Ten. And I think the Big Ten's really strong top to bottom.
Yeah, I think the conversation is going to change. I've mentioned this a couple different times. I don't know if you've heard me say it, so if I said it to you, I apologize for repeating myself. But all of a sudden, whenever the ranking happens at the end of the season and the college football playoff is being talked about, we have an SEC team, a good SEC team, traveling into Big Ten. And the style of roster that you have to have in the Big Ten at that time in the most important ball certainly paid off. Going to have to be a little bigger, can't be as fast. You got to have a little bit more physicality. You can't just run 4.3s everywhere because it might be negative 55 degrees or whatever the hell it was at Ohio State for that game. So interesting dynamic, obviously being added into it. Everybody understands the Big Ten and the SEC are at the top. But the Big 12 got Rich Rod. Let's not forget that. And the ACC, we'll see how it goes. Hey, last question here quickly because I need to get your opinion on this. I've talked to a couple different coaches now about the transfer portal going from 2 times a year, both in December, January, and then also in May or April. I forget which one, a spring and a winter one. They've cut it down to just one transfer portal, and it'll be the one in the winter, okay? What are your thoughts on the December, January, in the middle of college football playoff transfer portal being the only transfer portal window? And what are your thoughts on going from 2 to 1? It feels like everybody's on board with that.
Yeah, I think it needed to go to 1. You would negotiate with a player, and all power to the players, but you would negotiate with a player in December, January, and then have to renegotiate 3 months later when there's no, you haven't done anything. So that doesn't happen in the NFL. And so it should be once a year. You make a decision, and then you play that year out. number two, and most of the Big Ten coaches wanted it in April and May because, we pay the guys July 1st to June 30th. So in the NFL, like the league year ends, you get paid for the year. We're going to have in college football, we're going to have players getting paid by two different teams in the same year. That doesn't make any sense to me. And we're doing it that way because basketballs, everyone's using the same money. So it doesn't make as much sense, but I would have had the portal in the middle of September for all I care to get one portal. It's better for the players. They don't need to be transferring twice or in the spring. I mean, I just think it's way better, but I would have done it in May. I think the playoffs should never be touched by players saying to themselves, am I staying? Am I going? Last year, Penn State's backup quarterback left in the middle of a playoff run because he had to do what was right for him. I'm not saying anything about LeBeau. Just those things shouldn't happen, in my opinion, with the portal. But some really powerful coaches wanted it. They wanted it in January, and no one asked me.
Okay, so on that note, everybody I talked to would have preferred the April-May one. Everybody preferred 2-1.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, to only have one. Everybody agreed on that. But everybody, to your point, was like, the one in after spring feels like, so we know what we have, and then also we don't worry about the playoff conversation. Nonetheless, it'll all get figured out, right? Always does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see.
It always does.
You're the man. We appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen, head coach of the Nebraska Cornhusker football team, taking on Michigan this weekend in the Bussin' Bowl, Matt Rhule.
You want this, you got that. No way, watch them walk right past you. Run fast while you have the chance.